What in the hell is going on with Manchester United at the moment? I truly cannot comprehend it. I want to take this video in two ways. I want to talk about the macro first and then the micro. The macro is this. Sir Alex Ferguson walked out the door a decade ago at this point, and this club has not won anything significant since. They have not won anything significant. And look, I understand that because this happened with Barcelona under Pep Guardiola. When a legendary manager leaves a club and they win so much and you're so used to the standard of winning and they set this culture of excellence, it's really hard for the next guys to come close to him, because obviously no manager is ever going to replicate what Sir Alex Ferguson did at Man United. It's impossible. I mean, the guy won 13 Premier Leagues. He basically constructed some of the greatest teams the Premier League has ever seen. He won trebles. He won Champions Leagues. He won FA Cups. I mean, the guy did it all. And usually, when a new guy comes in, you go through a little bit of a slump, right? Because it's so hard to live up to that standard. And that's what happened, obviously, with fucking Louis van Gaal and fucking David Moyes and all these different managers that came in. Jose Mourinho, who actually won his own version of a treble. But, it's hard to live up to that standard, right? But you at least expect one of the greatest institutions in the country of England. I mean, second to me. I mean, it's them and Liverpool. Whether you want to put United at 1 or Liverpool at 1, it really doesn't matter. I don't want to have that conversation right now. But United's definitely in the top 2. There's no debate about that. And, seeing this club and what they've been through the past decade, they've been overtaken in their own city. Man City, if you would have told United fans, most United fans, I think 99%, 10 years ago, that in the next 10 years, you're not even going to be the winningest club in your own city, like in Manchester, they would have said you're fucking crazy. But that's what's been happening at this point. And, it's really sad because they're a great club and they have great fans and they have a great culture, and honestly, their stadium is beautiful, but it's just been terrible. And this season, this is the macro now. This is the micro now. This season it was supposed to be different because last year Erik ten Hag comes in from Ajax. He sets this new culture at the club. He gets rid of some of the old guard. He benches Ronaldo, which seemed like fucking terrible at the time, but now he kind of put his foot down when he first got to the club. And he won an EFL Cup, made an FA Cup final, and played pretty well against City. Got that team back in Europe. And this season was supposed to be promising because you bring in guys like Amrabat, and you bring in guys like Rasmus Højlund, and you bring in some new players. Licha Martinez is going to be in the second year. Onana instead of De Gea. Obviously, Varane, who's a good center back and still good at this point. Marcus Rashford is coming off his best season last year. Now this year, you expect him to get better. And it's just been terrible. They just lost today to Galatasaray. This is why I'm making this video, because they lost today to Galatasaray after in the weekend losing to Crystal Palace. And I really don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I mean, they're sitting 12th in the Premier League right now. They're last in their group. I mean, we knew they were going to lose to Bayern because Bayern Munich obviously is not really that good this year, but they're in a different tier than United. I mean, we can all admit it. But they actually played pretty well against Bayern in those first few minutes, and then obviously it went to hell when Onana made that mistake. But, you're losing to Galatasaray. You're behind Copenhagen now. And who knows, maybe you get grouped. If United gets grouped, it's going to be terrible. It should be a travesty. And honestly, Erik ten Hag could get fired because of that. Because this group, I think United fans can accept that Bayern finished first and you're behind Bayern. But when you're behind Copenhagen and Galatasaray, who, by the way, Galatasaray has a very good team, and they're a very good team in Turkey, and they're a dark horse in the Champions League to make it pretty far. But honestly, you should, you're Man United, and you're playing at Old Trafford. You should not be losing to Galatasaray and letting Wilfried Zaha and Mauro Icardi score goals against you. I mean, it's terrible. And, it's weird to me because obviously United fans, and I'm not a United fan, obviously, but I was part of the people that thought that David De Gea was washed and that he wasn't good anymore. And then all of a sudden, Andre Onana comes in, who was one of the best keepers in the world last year. Obviously, was the keeper that was part of the Inter squad that made it to a Champions League final and played really well in the final, by the way. And then he comes into United, and he's been fucking dog shit. I mean, he can't play out from the back. His shot stopping, which is something that De Gea was actually pretty decent at, he's been terrible at. I mean, today he made a terrible mistake. And the penalty miss, he didn't save it. Icardi just shanked it wide. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Andre Onana. His confidence seems to be shot. He doesn't seem comfortable with his feet. He doesn't seem comfortable stopping shots. His sweeping ability has been terrible. And it's disappointing to me. And also, another part of this is some of the players, the way United has been handling all these different situations, like outside of football, has been really weird as well. A lot of that is not even their fault. I mean, some of the biggest news regarding United this season have been off the pitch when we're talking about Anthony and the Mason Greenwood saga, which they handled fucking terribly, and that includes Erik ten Hag, who actually wanted Mason Greenwood, who's we know what he is. He's a fucking prick. He's a pig, and he's disgusting. He wanted him back at the club somehow, and the whole Jadon Sancho situation, Jadon Sancho, let's stay on this for a second, he's been jettisoned from the club. Jadon Sancho has not played for United since the international break, since Arsenal, because, since that Arsenal game where he was dropped, he wasn't even called up, he didn't even travel with the team, because apparently him and Ten Hag got into a dispute or something, and then Jadon Sancho posted on his social media, and Ten Hag was like, yeah, until you apologize, you're not coming back to the club. And Jadon Sancho doesn't seem to be budging, and neither is Erik ten Hag, and they're just at a stare-off right now. like, Jadon Sancho's not coming back to the club anytime soon until he apologizes. And why would he try and apologize now? I mean, he should have done it weeks ago. He hasn't done it yet. Eric Ten Hag is obviously not going to bring him back because, he's not going to, it's going to undermine him. If I let that player back in who disrespected me publicly, what does that say to the rest of the squad? And Jadon Sancho, who's actually a pretty decent player, who hasn't been great since he started at United, obviously at Dortmund he was great, and that's why he was brought in for such a high price tag. He hasn't played. He's one of your most promising players, and he's completely out of the squad. And I understand that United, like a lot of teams this season, are dealing with a lot of injuries. Like Licha Martinez got injured, and they have players like Varane dealt with injuries for a long time. And a couple of other players, Amrabat, before he obviously started today, but he dealt with some injuries. And Garnacho's dealt with injuries, and it's been a bunch of their key players that have dealt with injuries. But that's still not an excuse to look this bad, and that's not an excuse to put that product out there on the field. And their fans, bro, I feel for them, truly, because I think United fans are some of the best in England. I truly believe they love that club. But the product is just not good enough. And is it Eric Ten Hag's fault? Is it the system that he's employing? Are those players apt enough to carry out that system that he's imposing on them? I'm not sure, honestly. And I don't know what to tell you guys, honestly. I wanted to make this video because, honestly, after watching United today, it baffles me that this club that was at the peak of English football a decade ago, who was winning Premier League titles, who was winning Champions Leagues. I mean, this team made 2 Champions League finals in a row and made 3 in, 4 years or something like that? But yeah, I don't know. If there's any United fans watching this video, let me know what you think of your club. I mean, I watched that game today, and you guys played some good football, but at the end of the day, I mean, you guys are just sloppy sometimes. It's sloppy. The system doesn't seem to be working. Players are kind of falling out of love with Ten Hag. I mean, Casemiro gets a red because Onana makes a mistake. Everything just seems to be crumbling and falling apart around that club. After we saw this season, it was supposed to be pretty promising. I mean, I had United finishing in the top 3 because I thought, Eric Ten Hag, another season under his belt after coming in from Ajax. He did some good things last year. You have some players who were in form last year who are going to be better this year because obviously they have a full offseason to get ready, like Marcus Rashford and Garnacho and even Jadon Sancho. And you bring in Rasmus Højlund, who was a great striker in Atalanta last season, and he actually played really well today. And you bring Amrabat from Fiorentina, and you bring Onana, of course, like I mentioned, and Licha Martinez and Varane, and your center backs are pretty good. And Maguire seems to be like out of the club at this point. I mean, he's still obviously part of the squad, but no, they don't really play him, and he's been kind of like out of the picture. And he's obviously been a very toxic figure for United and their fans recently. So I had high hopes for them, but it just seems to be going downhill. And I don't know if they can turn it around. Now, obviously, they can still go like get first, not first, obviously, but they can still advance to the knockout rounds in the Champions League because they've only played 2 games, so they can still they still have Copenhagen and they still have Galatasaray again. And who knows, the way Bayern Munich is looking, they might beat Bayern Munich at home because Bayern Munich does not look good this season at all. To me, Thomas Tuchel is just not a good manager in my opinion. But that's a conversation for another day. I'm yapping too much again. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think. I also got a new mic, so let me know if you guys like this. This is the content you're going to see on this channel, okay? It's a lot of yapping. It's a lot of me just expressing my mind, just saying what I think. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Honestly, on TikTok, it's more like condensed content. Here, it's just like I have a thought. I come in here, and it's just like word vomit. I just say what I feel, and it's just the way I am. So I hope you guys enjoy that. If you guys like this mic, let me know if it sounds better. I'm going to edit it right now, so I'll let you know. So hopefully you guys like it. I'll be streaming the game tomorrow, Barcelona versus Porto away. That's going to be our most important game of the season. So hopefully I see some of you guys there watching the stream with me. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for the stream at around 2:50 Eastern. So tune in and let's watch the game together. Let's get this fucking dub tomorrow. Visca Barça. I love you guys. Again, thank you for watching. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.